I am Stephanie Rivers, and I want justice. The police officers involved showed reckless disregard. Hello and welcome to the video version of my journal. I'm Stephanie Rivers. Come on in and welcome to the conversation. I am multicasting on several platforms. You can watch me on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or even LinkedIn. So on whatever platform you're watching, welcome to the conversation, family. And thank you to my new subscribers. I'm getting trickles of subscribers. So I'm talking about something that people want to know more about. So we want to thank you for that support. And if you find something that you like, be sure to like it and share it. And if you are not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe so that when I post new videos, you will be the first to know. So I have a question for you. Have you ever been driving down the interstate in the middle lane and you're trying to pass a vehicle that's in the left lane, in the fast lane, because they're cruising, and when they realized that you were trying to pass them, they sped up to prevent you from passing them? Has that ever happened to you? Probably, because it happens to most of us. Well, how about this? If that other driver would have picked up speed to begin with, you would not have had to try to pass them, of course, but that kind of logic isn't a part of their thought process, because those people think that they own the lane regardless of what their speed is. So are you one of those people who just thinks you own the lane? Are you one of those people who find yourself having to pass people because they're cruising in the fast lane? A lot of road rage incidents start because people just can't let the small things go. Instead, they go from 0 to 100 with their emotions. And if they have a firearm, some of them have gone as far as to shoot into the other vehicle, risking other people's lives and risking their own freedom. So that's what we're going to talk about today. A similar incident happened to Aaliyah Ivory a few days ago, and it happened in Park Forest, Illinois. It happened as she was driving to merge onto I-57 towards Chicago. Now, Ivory was shot six times, and she's paralyzed from the injuries of that shooting. This happened about a week ago. She was trying to merge onto Interstate 57 when a man driving another vehicle would not let her over, would not let her in. So, there's only so many yards of the merge lane before you have to either get over into that last lane of the highway or you're going to run out of road. Well, Ivory told her family that this guy would not move out of the lane, and he was continued to try to push her to make her stay in the merge lane, essentially trying to make her run off the road. But she sped up and she was able to get in front of him, so she was able to merge in. So she said that's when the guy called her a racist name and she called him something back. And so they were either yelling at each other back and forth on the interstate, or they were making gestures at each other. And then this man in his vehicle got behind Aaliyah Ivory's vehicle and fired bullets into the back of her car. So I don't know if you've heard about this, but I'm about to show you. Um, all right, I'm trying to show you. This is Alia Ivory, and that is a picture of her vehicle. Now, Aaliyah is still in the hospital again, paralyzed. 6 bullets were shot into her, the back of her vehicle. And if you can see at the top of, I don't know if it's showing you my cursor, but there are 3 people who are standing in front of her vehicle on their cell phones. They were calling, trying to get help for Aaliyah Ivory. So wanted to show you that. We can come back to that picture in a minute. So those people on the side of the were driving, and other motorists, they had to help get Aaliyah some help, and they called 911. Now the dude should have been charged with attempted murder. He should have been charged with reckless driving. Reckless endangerment. He should have been charged with assault with a deadly weapon. And that's just off the top of my head. But guess what he was charged with? Not a damn thing. Okay. The highway patrol that took the report, the patrol person that took the report and questioned the guy, declined to charge him with anything. Now, according to all the reports, the man claimed that he feared for his life. So here we go with that term. He feared for his life, but he shot at her 6 times from the back. Okay. And he has not been charged. And although the man's name is not known, it's not publicized. I know somebody that was on that scene. They got this man's name. They know the car, the vehicle he was driving, and they have his license number. So if a person is as bold and brazen as this guy was to shoot into the back of somebody's vehicle on the interstate 6 times, we should know his name because he is a menace to society. Okay. And Aaliyah said that that it was, she feels like it was a racist incident because of the racist name that he called her when they were arguing back and forth. So regardless to how you feel about how it went down, shooting into the back of somebody's vehicle, that is a felony offense, and he should be in jail right now. But he's not, because the Illinois Highway Patrol declined to comment and they declined to press charges. Now, Alia Ivory is fighting for her life and for justice in what should be an open and shut case of him being charged and possibly held without bond. But here we are in 2022, still talking about egregious racist acts against Black people in America, just like it's 1922. Now, if white people are tired of hearing me and other people talk about racist white people, we're 10 times as mad and as frustrated about having to live through this every day. So there's that. Now, when it comes to criminal charges being filed against a person, the common assumption by citizens is that in order for a person to be charged with a crime, those charges have to start with a police officer putting them in handcuffs, and then them being charged and there being a police report filed. But it doesn't have to work like that. And so if you are an attorney or you have any knowledge of the law and you want to comment, I have put the link in the chat so that you can chime in. Or if you've had your own road rage incident and you want to talk about it, then we want to hear from you. But in the meantime, let's talk about how charges are filed against a person. Most of us know that it's, the police show up, or the law enforcement agency, or a law enforcement officer. So you might hear me say LEO. I'm saying that's short for the acronym for law enforcement officer. So the LEO shows up, they put you in handcuffs, they take you to jail, they write a police report, and you're charged with something. That's normally how it could work. But these days, LEOs don't even have to read you your Miranda rights anymore before they question you. So I talked about that on a previous video. And LEOs, like the one who showed up at the attempted murder scene, who didn't even arrest the guy or file charges, is an example of why some of us don't trust law enforcement right now, because some of them are as crooked as the S's in Mississippi. Okay. And if the agency, the highway patrol, if the Illinois Highway Patrol was worth anything, they would have already come out with a statement, but they haven't said anything. They would have already made a public statement for what's the word? For transparency's sake. They should have said something to the people, okay? But they haven't said a word. They should have reprimanded the the highway patrol officer, because how in the world can somebody shoot 6 times at least into the back of somebody's vehicle on the interstate, and he claimed that he feared for his life, and he gets to walk away and she's in the hospital paralyzed with 6 bullets? That makes no sense. But you know why it happened? Because they DGAF. They just don't care. And they just don't care about us knowing that they don't care. So that's what's really going on. Now, here's how that's the main way that people file charges, is through the process of a cop seeing something done, showing up, putting you in handcuffs, or getting a report, showing up, putting you in handcuffs, and walking you down, and all of that. But here's another way that charges can be filed against this guy. And this is what needs to happen. The victim, in this case, Aaliyah Ivory, she should go down and make a criminal complaint against this person. So you have to go down officially to the police department and file some paperwork with her name and address, the person's name, and information that you know about them. And so, like I said, the guy who shot into her vehicle, he stayed at the scene, and there's video of them far away, of them walking him to the highway patrol vehicle, talking to him a little bit, and then letting him go. Meanwhile, she on the way to the hospital with 6 bullets in the back of her vehicle. Okay, so back to the filing the criminal complaint. That's what needs to happen, because when you file a criminal complaint, then there has to be an investigation. And when there is an investigation, then that will determine, based on the evidence, whether or not charges will be filed. And the prosecutor, the district attorney in that area, then they look at the allegations, they look at the evidence, and then they decide whether there is enough evidence to file a complaint. So, is there enough evidence to file a complaint? I don't know. Let's look at this. That's Aaliyah Ivory in the hospital, 6 bullets in her body. She's paralyzed. That's her vehicle with, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if you look in the trunk, go down to the right side of the trunk, like 5 o'clock, the trunk, there is another bullet hole. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 bullet holes right there. And I think there might be another bullet hole going through the trunk that went into her body. So, yes, there is enough evidence. I mean, based off of my non-legal qualifications, that's enough evidence right there. So if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. So it depends on what state that you're in, but here's what happens after the DA gets involved. And um, I'll keep going, and then I'll come back to a point. In some states, the DA files charges, and then it goes before a judge for a probable cause or preliminary hearing. That's what it's called. So then the judge alone decides, is there enough evidence to go forth and with a trial so we can set a trial date, well, I would say this is enough evidence. Or if not a judge, there's a grand jury. The grand jury would decide, is there enough evidence? Did we talk to witnesses? Did we? So I'm sure there's plenty of witnesses. I'm sure Miss Aaliyah Ivory would be willing to testify in front of a grand jury and or a judge, depending on how they do it in that state. And so, based on the evidence, there's no reason why this guy wouldn't be charged with attempted murder or aggravated assault or with a deadly weapon or something along those lines. So that's what needs to happen. But so far, that hasn't happened. Now, just because the crooked cops won't press charges or file charges, they should get an attorney. Her, Miss Ivory and her family, they need to get an attorney to go through the legal channels to get charges filed and an indictment. Make the DA, the district attorney in this area, be accountable. Make the judge be accountable. Make a grand jury be accountable. How can this guy fear for his life when he was behind her? If he, in fact, did fear for his life, then all he had to do was drive off. Yeah, all he had to do was like get off at the next exit. So the fact that a law enforcement officer, that the highway patrol took this man's word that I fear for my life, so I shot 6 times in the back of somebody's car, that just makes zero sense. Okay. Um, Carol Anderson is an author. She wrote a book called White Rage, and in that book, she talks about how how actions of some white people, in the name of protecting democracy, in the name of fiscal responsibility, in the name of protection against fraudulent elections, is really about how white people are mad because of the of advancements, the come up of African Americans, of Black people in America. They just don't like it, and they just gonna do whatever they can, make this law. They're gonna strike down this law. They're gonna do a whole bunch of stuff in the name of, well, we're doing it for certain things, but really they just mad. Okay, so Ivory has an LLC. I'm sorry, LLC. Ivory has an LTC. You see what my mind is? My mind is on business. But anyway, Ivory has a license to carry. Okay. She had her weapon in the vehicle with her, but she did not fire it. She didn't present it. It stayed on safety. And according to the interviews that her sister did with some news reporters, the cop that took the report claimed that because Ivory had a license to carry, that her that she had a weapon on her, that was why they didn't charge the guy. So what her having an LTC has to do with him shooting her 6 times in the back of her vehicle is, it makes no sense. Okay. That's just another way to villainize Black people for exercising their Second Amendment rights. Okay. Whether or not she had a weapon on her or had her LTC was not, had no bearing on why he shot her. But it does show that they just mad. They just, when we exercise our rights and we do what they do, they don't like it. They can all day have all the rights and all the privileges, and they expect for everything to just stay that way. But for the next 500 years, if they could have their way. But when things start to change and people start to use their constitutional rights for their benefit, then that's a problem. So they see us living our lives and succeeding and advancing, and they don't like it, and they're lashing out. So this was an instance of white road rage, in my opinion. Okay, so while I agree that there is a time for protesting, and there is a time for sitting in, and there is a time for boycotting and talking to the media. Some of us equate being loud and seen as getting something done, when really in this case, Miss Ivory and her family, they need to quietly go get them a bulldog attorney and let the law work for them. Let get some legal advice on how to proceed and how to get this man charged with a crime, with a felony, which is what he did. So you're gonna leapfrog over that crooked letter highway patrolman who's taking this man's word for it, and then you're gonna just go over him and make the system do what it's designed to do, hold them accountable. Because when and it might seem like it's just so easy to do that, but what happens is, no, everybody's gonna agree that, you know what, that was crazy, and he shot into the back of her vehicle, and they should charge him, but they're not gonna tell you that this is the legal step that needs to happen for him to be charged. They want you to just be so emotionally overwhelmed by it all that you don't go and do what needs to be done properly and legally. But when you properly and legally do things, and then they have to be held accountable for that, then you're going to see some changes. Okay? You're going to see some action. So if you know Aaliyah Ivory's family, or you know anybody in Chicago who knows her family, then please pass this information to them. Just because the crooked letter highway patrolman won't charge this dude and they decline to comment, that doesn't have to be the end of the story. Okay? So you might have to take a legal a law 101 class. You basically got to take a law 101 class to keep up with these people, because if not, they will have you all so wrapped up thinking you don't have any way of getting around what they're doing, when really you have just as much right to file charges as they have to try to ignore filing charges. So that's it. To find out more about the things that I care about, you can go to the written version of my journal. That's at eurweb.com. Thanks, and you have a super day.